Hello guys, welcome to TNA Throwback. It's time to book the last Impact of August, and we are actually 3 weeks out from the next pay-per-view, which is No Surrender. And this is episode 29 also, so the next episode is gonna be the 30th episode of this booking experiment. So let's check out what happened on the Fallout show from the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view to have some sort of a context for this show. And I'm probably repeating myself for 1,000 times, but you know, I have complete results after every video or every show I'm doing. So if you don't want to listen to me for 20 minutes explaining the angles in detail and my ideas about the booking, you can just click on the images and just read the results in this detailed way. This is of course after I book the show. I'm editing it in the hex editor, so it will look like this. So this is what happened on the last week's show. So we got a video package from Hardcore Justice where Anderson retained and Beer Money debuted as World Elite, members of World Elite, by defeating Sting and Angle. Anderson opened the show and said he was happy to remain the champion, but Hardy came out. Hardy demanded a rematch because he was screwed to the pay-per-view. Anderson actually declined this challenge, but Bischoff stopped Anderson from walking away and announced the match for tonight. Beer Money defeated Abdul Bashir and Douglas Williams in a tag team match, and after the match Jarrett endorsed Beer Money and welcomed them. Brook Tezmak defeated Tara via small package. Samoa Joe defeated Orlando Jordan, but then was assaulted by the rest of the congregation members. We had a good three-way segment featuring Kazarian, Aries, and RVD. They exchanged insults. And it was later announced that Aries will face RVD in a number one contendership match on this show that I'm gonna book right now. Styles and Daniels defeat Morgan and Tom Cole in a tag team match. Beer Money announced they will use the rematch clause that they never faced. They never faced Team 3D after their pay-per-view loss. So on this show we'll have two matches with high stakes. Sting defeated Gunner, then refused to let go of the deadlock. After that, Sting called out Jarrett and kind of threatened him with this promo. He demanded a match with Jarrett. After this segment, we got Robbie E making fun of Ryder, but then he was interrupted by Jay Leto and his manager Ric Flair. In an impromptu non-title match, Jay Leto defeated Robbie E, which led us to believe that maybe he'll get a title shot, global title shot soon. Kurt Angle cut the same promo as Sting on Jarrett and said that his days in TNA are numbered. So, of course, we were expecting our main event for the world title, but unfortunately Jeff Hardy was attacked before the main event while warming up by the World Elite members. After that, Anderson came to the arena for his match, but Anderson didn't know about them attacking Hardy. World Elite surrounded the ring and beat him down. So World Elite basically destroyed the world title match by beating up both competitors, and the show ended on a heel note. Jarrett stood tall. So let's see what is the follow-up to this. Let me just check something. So, Mr. Anderson, yeah. So, of course, the first segment is a traditional dark match for you guys. You already know how this works. You have a match which has no meaning. A match that's gonna be, a dark match. It's gonna be later edited out from this program because we need to fill the 4 matches quota. So the show is gonna open with Mr. Anderson, who is gonna be very pissed off because of last week's events, because he was supposed to have a match, but actually got beaten down. So Anderson will come out and he will actually threaten Bischoff, because Bischoff was actually accusing Anderson of being with the World Elite. As you remember, a few weeks back, after Anderson, I think it was like a couple weeks after Anderson won the title from Sting, we got some segments where Bischoff was threatening Anderson if he was with the World Elite faction, because Jarrett actually interfered in the Sting and Anderson match 2 times, which led to Anderson becoming the world champion. But as you can see here, Anderson actually has nothing to do with this. He was beaten down by the faction after a few weeks of them trying to get him on their side, but he was declining it. So here we have Anderson calling out Bischoff, and he will say that he's disappointed that Bischoff didn't trust him all this time, and kind of like saying, you can see now that I'm not a part of the group. So the next thing we'll have Jeff Hardy come out along with Anderson, and Jeff Hardy will demand Bischoff to take action because they were both beaten last week, and they need revenge for tonight. They need to take their revenge upon World Elite. So in the first segment, we get Anderson and Hardy kind of on the same page because they had the same fate last week. So Bischoff is gonna book a match. He's gonna come out. Bischoff is actually first gonna apologize to Anderson for his assumptions that he was part of World Elite, but his explanation will be that he had to have some sort of a suspicion because Bischoff is very concerned with the world title. He doesn't want it to be in the World Elite's hands, or I guess this is what he said to Anderson. So he had a reason to be worried about it. Actually, the real reason is because Anderson is the world champion because of Jeff Jarrett, who screwed Sting, and Anderson just took the opportunity. So it was normal for Bischoff to assume that he was in some sort of a plan. So Bischoff booked Anderson and Hardy in a tag team for tonight against Abyss and Gunner, who are the muscle of the World Elite group. So this is kind of, I guess, not a traditional take, because Anderson and Hardy are supposed to be fighting for the title. I guess it's no surrender, and they're gonna team up here. But the reason here is that they both got attacked last week, so they need to have their revenge. So right now on this show, we're gonna put away their feud in order to bring them together. So Team 3D is gonna face Beer Money in a rematch for the tag team titles, as we saw last week, where Beer Money actually wanted to have their rematch. So this is gonna have a shocking finish, because Team 3D are gonna retain, but they're gonna retain actually by a interference from an outside guy, and he's gonna be Creed, who, as you know, is the new member in Pope's congregation. So Creed is actually gonna come out. He's gonna help Devon get the pin on James Storm, and Team 3D are faces, so they're gonna be very surprised by this interference by Creed. So after the match, we're gonna have let's say this, because we don't have a similar segment. So after the match, actually this is gonna take place in the ring. After the match, Brother Ray is gonna be surprised for Creed's involvement. He'll look at Devon. He'll try to search for some sort of an answer, but Devon is not gonna... He doesn't have an explanation. Devon has no idea what is going on. So Team 3D retains the titles by Creed interfering and messing up the match. Of course, I have an idea here, but I think it's gonna be interesting to see how things develop. Not really gonna explain my idea here. The next thing on the show is gonna be Sting cutting a promo on Jeff Jarrett. He will say that he doesn't know what Kurt is up to, but he's only focused on taking out Jarrett. So on this show we'll have Sting already being aware of Kurt's intentions. So we are in a predicament where both of them, both Sting and Angle, want Jarrett in a singles match. And I guess this will be a problem down the line. So the next thing on the show is gonna be a fewer knockout tag team match. We are gonna have Angelina Love, who is the knockout champion, and Tara, who lost last week to Tessmacher, taking on Tessmacher and Madison Rayne, who are part of the Beautiful People. So we need to put the champion over. So Angelina Love is gonna pin Madison Rayne clean, and we are gonna have Pro to the back. I actually got Gail Kim back because her contract with WWE was over. I guess they fired her. So we had so I'm gonna bring back Gail Kim, and I'm gonna soon run video vignettes for her return. The next thing on the show, we have Jay Leto, based off his win last week in a non-title match against Robbie E. He'll call out Robbie, he's gonna dare him to put the global title on the line, and he challenges him to a match, I guess tonight. But of course, Robbie is a heel, so Robbie is gonna be like, no man, I don't really want to compete. We'll do it on my terms. And we're gonna do it at No Surrender, so this match will be signed from now. There's no point to delay it. So at No Surrender, Jay Leto is gonna take on Robbie E for the global title. The next thing on the show is gonna be a 6-man tag featuring the newly formed Congregation. So these guys are really taking gaining some momentum here, and they're gonna take Samoa Joe, which on the last show he got beaten by them. So there's gonna be a reason here for Joe to team up with Morgan and Tomko. Joe is gonna contact Morgan and Tomko in order to help him team up against these guys, but the Congregation will go over, and Daenerys will pin Joe, I guess via some use of a foreign object. The point here is to switch the heat from Joe and the group to Joe and Daenerys, because my idea here is to have them feud for a while. I don't really have any other plans for Joe, so I'm gonna use him to feud with the newly formed group. Because the whole point of having a stable around the Pope is to elevate him and elevate the other guys. So I need to have the Pope be in some sort of a credible feud, not have random tag team matches every week. There's no way I can put over the stable. So the next thing on the show is gonna be the number one contendership match that was booked last week by Bischoff. The number one contendership match for the X Division Championship. Austin Aries will take on Rob Van Dam. So this match, I don't know who you guys prefer, but this match is not gonna end in a winner, because Kazarian, you ruined the match. So the whole point here is that Kazarian, who is a heel, you know that heels are stupid, so Kazarian will think that if he interferes in this match, he's not gonna have a #1 contender, because he'll disrupt the match, and of course there's not gonna be a winner. You know how wrestling logic works. It's gonna be the typical heel ruining a #1 contendership match, thinking that there's gonna be no consequences, but of course there's gonna be consequences. And the consequence is gonna be Eric Bischoff booking Kazarian. Instead of him facing just Aries or just RVD, he's gonna face both of them at No Surrender. So the X Division title match for No Surrender is set. Kazarian is gonna take on both Austin Aries and RVD in a 3-way match. The next thing on the show is gonna be a backstage promo from Samoa Joe, who just got pinned by the Angel Dinero, who used a foreign object to hit him and pin him, hit him with a cover. So Joe is gonna cut the promo on the Pope. He's gonna challenge him to a match next week. So the next thing on the show, we will have a squash match, because we haven't had a squash match in a long time. Jeff Jarrett is gonna take on Amazing Red, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but my roster is not very big. I have certain guys for certain roles. So I need to hire some job guys, I guess. If you've been following me through a lot of the videos, you'll see that I like to protect a lot of the guys on TV. I rarely do clean finishes, because I think clean finishes should be reserved for a pay-per-view or for a program where you have someone go over. So most of my TV matches are tag matches. They end in a screw-up finishes. Of course, if I want to push someone, I'm gonna give him clean wins. But in this situation, for example, I want Jeff Jarrett to pick up a win, but I will not, I will not have Jeff Jarrett defeat someone like Austin Aries, only to, this will hurt Austin Aries. I like to protect the guys. I don't want to expose them, as I can see. So I got certain job guys, and I got guys who I will protect. So most of the roster is protected. The guys who are in storylines, most of the guys, if they're not like below the mid card, I'm gonna protect them. So after the match, Jeff Jarrett is gonna pick up a quick win over Amazing Red. After that, Sting is gonna come out. He's gonna want he wants to know Jarrett's response to his challenge from last week, because Sting challenged Jarrett to a match at No Surrender. But of course, Jarrett is not gonna have time to respond, because Kurt Angle is gonna interrupt Sting. And Kurt Angle also wants Jarrett one-on-one, and if he has to, he'll go through Sting to get to Jarrett. So this is a very tricky situation, because both guys want Jarrett and they're on the same page, but nobody's letting the other guy take the spot and face Jarrett. So I guess we have to settle this dispute. So this is the angle right now for this. At this time we have Sting and Angle arguing over who will take on Jarrett first. because presumably they both hate his guts for screwing them over. Here, I think you see what I'm doing. It's nothing special. Styles and Daniels are gonna pick up another win. So at the pay-per-view, they beat Lito and Aries. Last week they beat up Morgan and Tamko, and this week they're beating Douglas Williams and Sheik Abdul-Bashir. So after the match, we're gonna have an angle where AJ and Daniels are entering Bishop's office, presumably after the match, and they're gonna demand a tag team title shot against Team 3D. The Bishop, of course, he's gonna be very conservative in his approach. And this another thing that is kinda, I don't like giving title shots for free or for someone's sake. My idea is that in order for someone to have a title shot, he either or a tag team either has to have like a push, he has to have some wins, he has some credibility behind his name, or be involved in a storyline with the champion like Hardy and Anderson. When you have a storyline, it is justified to have title shots, you know, when you get screwed over, when you don't get pinned clean. But I will never do typical WWE style, I want a tag time, I want a title shot, and then you get the title shot. No, that's bullshit. In order for someone to get a title shot, he either has to first have a solid feud with someone else and win, or have some credibility behind his name, like Austin Aries. Austin Aries, in this feud with the X Division guys, he just didn't debut it and all of a sudden include it in the X Division title picture. He actually feuded with Daniels for 2 months. He beat him in this feud. Then he had a tag team match against Styles and Daniels with Lito. And then after I ended this program, I'm gonna switch him to the X Division. I'm very rarely gonna put guys who have no, like, when I debut a new character, you start building him up from the ground. You can't put him like immediately in a position to have a shot for the title, or you know, some shit like this. So Styles and Daniels, I don't know if I mentioned this, but they're gonna demand a tag title shot because they already won against most of the teams in the division, or you know, I guess the best teams yet. So Bishop is gonna shut this down, and Bishop is gonna say that there will be a number one contendership match next week, and they're included. So this is acceptable. So next week we're gonna have a tag title number one contendership match. Styles and Daniels are gonna be one of the participants, and we're gonna see the other ones, I guess, on the next week's show. So before the main event, we have a segment with Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson, and Jeff Hardy is gonna be concerned, you know, because Mr. Anderson is a heel at this point. Last week, the beating that World Elite gave him, you know, this is not a reason for Anderson to be a babyface. So Hardy will be he'll be hesitant to trust Anderson, but the thing here is that they will have to take out Abyss and Gunner because World Elite screwed them both over. So actually, Hardy and Anderson are feuding. They will have a, you know, they have a feud over the world title, but on this Impact, they will have to get together to fight off the big threat, which is World Elite. So they are both agreeing on this. So Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson in a tag team will take on Abyss and Gunner. And Hardy will get the win over Abyss via Swanton Bomb. After the match, we're gonna have. Actually, we're not gonna have any. Well, let's say it's a celebration. So the weird thing after the match that will happen, it's gonna be, I don't know if I don't think we have any angle here like this. So we'll just say that wrestler thanks Nara for help. Oh, wrestler has friends back, yeah. So of course this angle doesn't represent my idea, but we can't really do anything about it because WR is very limited in its angle. So Jeff Hardy and Anderson are gonna beat the team of Abyss and Gunner, and after the match Anderson is gonna raise Hardy's hand, and Hardy is gonna be very suspicious because to this point, as far as their feud, Anderson retained in a screw-up fashion. Anderson did assault him after Hardy's match with RVD, which was the last match from the tournament. And this is gonna be a strange shift in Anderson's attitude. And so after the match is over, they're not gonna quickly go back to being in a huge feud. They're still gonna face for the title, but Anderson is gonna endorse Hardy. He's gonna act, like a babyface, even though he's a heel. So my idea here is to do a slow burn turn with Anderson, but first I'm gonna position him as a tweener. So this is the show where the tweener stuff starts. So we'll see what happens on the next episode, I guess. So we got pretty good. We got 80% here. So, and guys, my booking is I give a little bit of everything each show, so you will never know the answers to my storylines. There's always gonna be something to look forward to. I'm not saying my booking is great or perfect, but I think the whole point of having a TV show and pay-per-views is to have the viewers wanting to see what will happen next. Not have a lot of closure on your shows and always like the Attitude Era where you always had something to look forward to. This is the trick here. That's why WWE is not very interesting in recent times, because they're just doing straight up matches. They're not doing any angles. They're not doing any storylines. I don't really know what their creative is doing, but it's pretty limiting as far as everything goes, and there's nothing to follow up. There's nothing to make you watch the show because there's nothing there. Just a bunch of guys having matches with no purpose. And I don't know, so let's just close this show on a good positive note. We have 2 more impacts in September, and then we have the No Surrender pay-per-view. And as you guys know, after No Surrender, we start our road to Bound for Glory, which is in another 4 impacts. It's in October, so we're moving on pretty quickly with this project. So we'll see each other next time.